Donald Trump makes a lot of promises, and Donald Trump breaks a lot of promises. And usually when he does so, his supporters don't care. He promised them cheaper eggs. They went up, the cult is still the same. He promised them a booming economy. The market is crashing, we're approaching a recession. And they couldn't care less. But when he promised to release the Jeffrey Epstein files, they were actually expecting that. And now that he hasn't, they're pretty furious. And Donald Trump just made it even worse with an M he just made, that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me now. Before we can get into the latest decision on the Epstein files that Donald Trump has made, that has his supporters furious at him, I want to take a look for a little bit of context at what happened last time.
Donald Trump, and take it with a grain of salt, has promised full transparency when it comes to most of the big conspiracy theories of the past 60 years, something he campaigned on in the lead up to the election. The issue led to an absolutely Hall of Fame interview clip.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Yep, Epstein. Sure about that? Maybe not Epstein. I wonder why Donald Trump wouldn't want the Epstein files to be made public. I mean, here he is in 1992 dancing and leering at women with his buddy Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. In 2002, Donald Trump said Jeffrey Epstein is, and I quote him here, a terrific guy. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. I wonder why Donald Trump wouldn't want the Epstein files to be made public. Thing is, many members of Trump's base do. The Republican House Oversight Committee sent multiple letters to Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding the Epstein files be released. Bondi then went on an apology tour to Fox News, promising the documents would be released imminently. Today, the White House made a big show of handing a bunch of conservative influencers binders labeled the Epstein files, Phase 1. But the whole stunt was a bust.
What's interesting is we're all waiting for bombshells, we're all waiting for juicy stuff, and that's not what's in this binder. That's not what's in this binder at all.
It is the biggest disappointment, I think, that you'll find. I encourage you to do your own homework on this. It's mostly procedural jargon, Glenn, heavily redacted.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, the Florida Republican leading this charge, said of the binders, all caps, "This is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment."
I still don't get maybe, because they're just stupid and don't actually care about the things they claim to care about. But I don't understand why MAGA hasn't taken a look at the real Epstein file. Donald Trump openly talking about how they were best friends. Donald Trump taking photos with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Donald Trump dancing at parties and pointing at people with Jeffrey Epstein. Those seemed like some pretty easy files for you, but they don't seem to care what they're focused on. Is some document filled with a list of Democrats? Because they don't care about the actual proof of flight log filled with Donald Trump's name. That doesn't matter to them. And they continue to push on this issue without getting a lot from Donald Trump. Even when he was recently interviewed, he decided to kind of skate the issue. So let's take a look at this clip, and then we'll see the big announcement that he just made. Does not like being asked about this, and of course he was friends with Epstein. There's photos of him with EP. He knows that this is something that actually matters to MAGA, and really he has no way of getting out of it. They're still asking about it. They are still upset there. There's a feeling of betrayal still, and so he's trying to push that off on Pam Bondi. But it's difficult for him to do so. When he makes announcements like this one, that just brings attention to the matter.
On the election, ruling on the election.
But going forward, would you defy a court order? Because we all know that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges. We have very bad judges, and these are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge. The judge that we're talking about, you look at his other rulings, rulings unrelated, but having to do with me, he's a lunatic.
Now, I looked through a couple of tweets posting this video of Donald Trump saying, we're declassifying all these Kennedy files. And do you know what? All the top comments from Blue Check marked MAGA were, What about Epstein? Where are the Epstein files? Why won't you show us the Epstein files? We want the Epstein files. MAGA is still upset with Donald Trump. This is an actual issue. For some reason they care about, although they do not care enough to just look at the photos of Trump and Hypey together. It's like, what other information do you need about this thing you claim to care about? But that's just the cult mindset of MAGA, I guess. But it is a Donald Trump failure. They are upset with him. They are relentlessly asking for it, and he's trying to distract with some shiny objects here and there. That's just bringing more attention. But he recognizes that it is a failure. And much like with all of Donald Trump's failures, he then tries to distract, which is a lot of what we're seeing out of his unlawful mass deportation plan. Right now, reporting has showed that through the first couple of weeks of Donald Trump's mass deportation plan, it has not gone according to plan. Thank God. And so this really scary and clearly fascistic attempt to unlawfully deport citizens and legal residents of the United States, this fake show of strength is just as much about defying the courts as it is about distracting from the fact that Trump is failing. And someone who did a great job covering that failure was Ari Melber right here.
To hit the big numbers on mass deportations that he's promised. We've reported this on this show previous to this clash. He is lagging far behind Biden's numbers. Let's take a look at the chart. If we have the last full month, Trump came up short of Biden's number. So you could call that roughly a tie. You could call him slightly behind. Apples to apples, a month of February deportations. That is the context for part of the extreme effort and messaging. Indeed, ICE and border veterans have discussed this early record openly, that they're not exactly beating Biden. You're saying if you want to really up the numbers in a concrete way over the years, you'd have to go to Congress and get new funding, basically a new funding law to do it. Why do you think President Trump hasn't done that or talked about that yet?
Oh, I don't want to speak for the administration why they haven't. I'd be railing about this instantly because we've been saying we needed more beds, we need more funding.
I think he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do on the campaign this past cycle. I think the deportations are key in making sure that they are targeting the worst criminals first.
When you say prioritization of the worst, does that mean fewer overall deportations? Because one interesting thing, and we're just following the numbers with you here, is if you look at the comparison, I'll put this on the screen, Trump versus Biden, right now, it's actually a lower rate of deportations.
This is the most aggressive action any president has ever taken to secure our southern border. We're also re-implementing, under President Trump's direction and leadership, Remain in Mexico. We're re-implementing Safe Third agreements, ending catch and release. And of course, we are unleashing ICE to perform its mission all across the interior of the United States.
That's some of the discourse and the facts. The administration reportedly frustrated with their slow numbers, according to the New York Times. So as Trump appears to push a strategy of defying these court orders, he's not making that move from a position of policy strength. He's making it from a position of policy weakness and concern about not even hitting the Biden numbers. And then you have the PR videos trying to show the impact. You have a lot of efforts to say this is a big deal. The numbers are not big. This is significant for all the number of reasons and reporting and facts I just showed you tonight, but I want to be clear, now that you look at the context, they want this to play as a big deal for 200 people. They're actually still trailing the overall numbers and far from the mass deportations they vowed. A lot of that is law and policy. As for the politics, which also matters if you're talking about what you can get out of Congress, top group of Democrats protesting this and echoing what the judge said, that we are not at war, immigrants are not invading the country, and it is courts that determine whether people have broken the law. So you take it all together there and you have a lot. I mentioned the faltering on mass deportation because so much in the Trump era, you probably know this by now, right? We all kind of know it, always involves this sort of other PR reverse spin.
Donald Trump doesn't want us paying attention to what he's doing wrong. He also wants us unsure of how message against it. And that is why he clearly chose this issue, this sort of wedge issue of immigration, to launch his assault on the rule of law, because he knows that some Democrats will be uncomfortable talking about it. But what we shouldn't be uncomfortable saying is that Donald Trump cannot unlawfully deport without due process legal residents of the United States, based off of racial profiling. That seems pretty easy, that these unlawful detentions that ICE continues to do, destroying the records after holding people with documentation hostage for hours on end under horrible conditions, is wrong. We want to secure the border. We want legal immigration. It's what Kamala Harris proposed. It's what President Biden proposed and pled, struck down by Republicans. We do not want a fascist police state run at the direction of Donald Trump and Tom Homan, though Democrats cannot be afraid to say that, because if we are pack it up, we've lost. Be honest with what is happening and call it out. Please show a little spine. We are going to certainly every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.